Hello and welcome to Around the Clock. I'm your host, Yolanda Greaves. On today's show, we have a very special interview with our state rep, Jack Patrick Lewis. We, of course, have our Around the Town tour, making stops at the Historical Society, at Kitty Fenwall, and various town buildings. Maybe we've seen you at one of them. No Selectmen's update, as the Selectmen did not meet on September 19th because of the Jewish holiday. So stay with us as I bring you Around the Clock. Hello and welcome to Around the Clock. Today we have with us State Representative Jack Patrick Lewis. Jack, welcome to Around the Clock.
Thank you so much for the invitation to join you.
We have Representative Lewis. He is in an election cycle. We already know you'll be going back to the State House in January. So talk to us a little bit about your first 2 years in office and what that was like.
Well, to summarize, I'm having fun. It's one of those positions where even though you try to prepare yourself for what you're getting yourself into, you have conversations with colleagues. I remember even post-November last year, 2 years ago, thinking, okay, I have 2 months to get my mind fully around what this job's gonna look like. Every day is different, and all of my colleagues' experiences were radically different from each other's. And so you get there, you're sworn in, and you have this short window to file legislation for the whole 2-year cycle. And then you have an even shorter window to co-sponsor legislation. And so you're just thrown into the deep end to figure things out. But what's great is that you have the support of regional colleagues. Really grew even closer to Karen Spilka, David Linsky in Natick, Carolyn Dykema down in Holliston, the former state rep Chris Walsh. You know, everyone looks out for each other, and while it is a unique workplace, it's a workplace where you know many of the folks that are there, all the folks that are there for good reasons, and they really want everyone to succeed. They know that in order for them to succeed and their communities to succeed, it's best that we all get along and look out for one another. And it's been an amazing journey. I've been having even more fun than I thought I was going to have. The kids wish I were home a lot more often.
Yep.
But there's always somewhere to be. There's always something to be doing. And the calendar fills up so quickly. And it's one of those jobs where before 8 a.m. you might be talking about opioids. During breakfast, you might be having a conversation about legislation that a statewide environmental group might want you to file. You might then have lunch at the senior center, an appointment with colleagues to talk about youth access to marijuana or preventing youth access to marijuana, and the day just keeps going. Right. And I'm very much a generalist. I love trying to challenge myself to explore a variety of different topics, and this is definitely a challenge when it comes to that endeavor, but we'll figure it out.
I think with anyone starting a new position, there's a lot to learn, a lot to understand, and certainly traveling into Boston. And so what do you feel, you're about to finish your first term, biggest accomplishment that you've gotten or completed this first term?
That is a really great question. When you're first elected and sworn in, I've been rightly accused of being an idealist and wanting to solve the world with a magic wand on day one. The reality that all of us experience is that there is no magic wand in your drawer.
There is not.
And the bills that the major pieces of legislation that we passed this year were in the works for a decade or decade plus. And so what I said on day one is, I want to make sure I understand how the building works. I want to find my place in the building. I can come out swinging and fall flat on my face, or I can take the necessary time to understand how the larger system works in a way that one can't until they're literally living in it. Right. And so for me, it was, as bills came up, as budgets came up, finding a way to carve out opportunities to advocate for Ashland and Framingham, finding opportunities to work with my colleagues in the region to see the things that Karen Spilka was working on, the things Tom Santacander was working on, those all are still in motion.
Right.
Major pieces of accomplishment. As a rep, I advocated for funding in bond bills in the state budget. There's sort of a unique annual opportunity where you can go to House leadership and say, this is a project that's most important to me. and sometimes it's 25,000, sometimes it's 100,000. If you're in the building for 30 years,
right.
It could be a whole lot more. But in those opportunities, being able to have a meeting with the chair of House Ways and Means and say, there's this future park in Ashland, the Cadillac paint site, that I've been hearing more and more about from people. 50,000 might not seem like a big number in the grand scheme of a $40 billion budget, but 50,000 would help get the ball rolling a little faster. To go back the second year to the chair of Ways and Means, who at that point is like, what is it about this park that you're still, that it's that important to you, that you're still focused on? But that 50,000 was an important piece of the puzzle, and another 50,000 just helps, Michael Herbert and all of you see it to completion.
So you mentioned a couple times about being in the office for a long time, or the longer you're there, the more do you see yourself staying as state rep for a long time, or is it something you think you're going to use to go on to something else? Or so
after 2 years, I'm still having a whole lot of fun and still sort of carving out my place in the State House. So I am only looking right now. I'm tunnel vision to January 2nd, if I have the opportunity to be sworn in again, and that deadline at the end of January to file new bills for the new 2-year cycle. Between that and what we were talking about before, counting down the days until my son gets his license and saving up for college.
All the family stuff that's going on.
We're going, it's day by day, sometimes if we're lucky, week by week. And professionally, I'm looking to January. But yeah, ask me again in 3 or 4 years.
So we've talked about the positives and that you're still having fun. What have been some of either the frustrations or negatives that you've seen being in this position for the last 2 years?
I think you're right. I'm having a whole lot more fun than I thought I was going to. It is a position where people imagine, some people, that there is a magic wand in the drawer and that you can make things better. You just have to pick up the phone and move the world. And there are some things that, when a state rep or a state senator makes a phone call to a state office, somebody actually answers the phone. And if we can get a ball rolling, but managing expectations, I think, can be hard. The other reality is that those of us, we all have families in one configuration or another. It's a job where there's literally a place that I could be, or in someone's mind should be, every single night of the week. And often 3 places, at least locally, and a couple in Boston. And so trying to strike that balance between one's family life and work life, because it's not a 9-to-5 job. It's the first thing I do when I wake up at 5:30, and it's the last thing I do when I fall asleep on the couch, way after the family goes to bed. And I try to do what I can during the entire day. But for the most part, I have found people to be very receptive. I have tried to build connections with folks that politically, maybe during a formal election, we didn't agree on major issues, but
I wonder who that could be.
No, but there were. I have enjoyed getting to know you, and many of the folks during each campaign, where during a campaign you're focused on a date, you're focused on a win number, you're focused on hopefully being able to do the job, but you're focused on winning. And in any competitive sport or enterprise, you put your whole self into it. And then the day after, you actually have to govern. And so I remember how grateful I was when the Ashland Business Association reached out shortly after getting elected and said, hey, we want you to come and talk about these couple issues. Knowing that I ran on a platform that didn't necessarily jive with many of the beliefs of some folks in the Business Association, and many of them supported my wonderful opponent. But just having that invitation to come in and begin a relationship, knowing that we're not always going to agree with each other, but like it or not, I'm your state rep for at least the next 2 years, and we can work together. And most of the things we pass on Beacon Hill go through such a strenuous process that both sides compromise so much that neither's truly happy, but neither sees their worst fears ever materialized either. And I've enjoyed that, and especially here in Ashland a lot of times.
So before I let you go, before we wrap up, there is always one question I ask all new guests that come to Around the Clock.
I should have studied your show a little better.
It's not hard. It's not hard. Is there something about you, Jack Lewis, that not many people may know that you'd be willing to share with our viewers?
Oh my gosh. Something about me that I really should have done my homework better.
Oh no, it's much better if you have to think about it.
Randomly. Oh my gosh.
I've only had one person had watched my show
And
had prepared, yeah.
Prepared. Something that
But
most
that's okay.
people wouldn't.
Something that something about your past, something about you as something, and that you'd be willing to share with our viewers. So it has to stay clean.
I say clean. Well, button this back up. I'm more of a nerd at my core than I think I try to let on to people. I love Star Trek. I probably watch or listen to more Star Trek than is
So then
healthy.
the question is, if you like Star Trek, which Star Trek?
Which Star Trek series? We literally have this debate around our kitchen table because as our younger kids get older, we're starting to, the new series that's on now, we watch with our middle child and our oldest child. I'd have to say Star Trek Voyager. Actually, this is a good thing. We're probably running out of time, but this is something people don't know about me. So Star Trek Voyager, Kate Mulgrew was captain, first female captain on a Star Trek series. Very assertive, powerful woman, was always attracted to that and the series as a young kid, maybe not that young. Growing up, Kate Mulgrew's husband ran for governor of Ohio.
Oh, wow.
And I was still in school, and I remember the day I came downstairs and my mom opened up the paper and she's like, that woman from your Star Trek show, her husband's running for governor. I bet if you volunteer on the campaign, you might get to see her without having to pay hundreds of dollars for a Star Trek convention. And I was like, I don't know anything about this man. This was before getting involved in politics. But I'll do whatever. And so that was actually my first foray into politics, was volunteering for Kate Mulgrew's ex-husband, well, now ex-husband.
Now it's okay.
His political campaign for governor because I wanted to meet her. Within a week, I was marching in a parade with her in our local town, and surrounded by people in Klingon costumes, holding bathlefts. And Kate Mulgrew, the campaign had so little money, so they had held Star Trek fundraisers with all the other cast. So I got to meet William Shatner because they were just pulling out all the stuff.
Yeah.
So. Luckily, I say luckily, her husband was a progressive Democrat, and so he sort of introduced me to the world of politics and set me on what path. But I'll admit, had he been a conservative Republican, who knows?
Who knows
where I'd be right
what
now.
this discussion would be.
We might be on a different side of the table. But that's one thing I do like Star Trek, and I blame or I'm grateful to Star Trek for getting me interested in politics.
Good.
I don't know how that compares to some of these other.
Oh no, that's a good story. Yeah. Good.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much again.
Thanks so much for coming on Around the Clock. Good luck on the election, and we look forward to seeing what the next 2 years will bring.
And I see you around town.
Yes,
very
you will.
soon.
Okay.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thanks for watching. We'll be back with more Around the Clock. Welcome back to Around the Clock. I'm your host, Yolanda Greaves. It's time for our Around the Town tour. As we start today's tour, we're actually going to go outside of Ashland, just over to Holliston, where there was a dedication for a new Habitat for Humanity home. Habitat for Humanity, which has a restore here in Ashland, is known for building homes for people who are lower income who need some help with housing. So 2 of them were built in Holliston, and we got to watch the dedication for one of them. Let's go check it out.
Nice! I'm a video talker, but I just want to take this time to thank each and everyone for being here today. Your presence means so much to us. And I want to thank special few people like Todd Barber and Smith, the town who also donated this land. And also a special thanks to Ted, who has been a very determined, compassionate, and motivating person. I also want to thank Ellen Piontek, the Moore family. I also want to thank Tanya for being very supportive and responsive. And I also want to thank Dan, one of our regular volunteers, and so many others who have been here volunteering, putting their times in, and we truly, truly appreciate that.
We have impacted hundreds of families' lives in dozens of communities, working in partnership with thousands of volunteers and donors and sponsors. When you add that to the great work that we're doing with our critical home repairs and our Operation Playhouse builds, and now our 2 Restore retail locations, you have all become part of some very powerful work. And I want to appreciate all of you for your contributions.
How do you like it?
Yeah, it's really cold there.
Show me for a second. Yeah.
That room up there is my favorite room. Then we have the laundry.
Congratulations to those new homeowners, and thank you to Habitat for Humanity for the work that they do in helping build a housing and affordable housing. From Holliston, we're going to come back to Ashland, and we are going to go to Ashland Day. It started on Friday night with an auction, and then of course all day Saturday, September 15th, starting at 9 o'clock with the bicycle parade, and then on to the music by the Ashland High School Band, and of course the presentation of the Citizen of the Year to Donna Mignani. WACA and Around the Clock was live all day at the gazebo, and hopefully you got to watch some of our live stream. And we're just going to share a little bit of the snippet with you right now. Hello and welcome to Around the Clock Ashland Day edition. I'm your host, Yolanda Greaves. Today's show is all about Ashland Day. We're going to show you the vendors, the events, the tents, the kids, the rides, the music, the dance, everything that gets into Ashland Day. We hope you were a part of it. We hope you got to participate. It was a beautiful day, and we're going to share it with you now. Live at Ashland Day, we're about to give you some drone footage of some of the great stuff that is going on. We're currently outside of the gazebo. We're going to go up and show you the field with over 100 groups and vendors here. We did announce the Citizen of the Year already, and that's a congratulations to Donna Mignani, who has done so many things, and she is our Citizen of the Year this year.
That the 2018 Citizen of the Year is Donna Marie Mignani.
Town of Ashland do hereby proclaim Sunday, September 16, 2018 as Donna Mignani Day.
This is my window. Your questions.
Continuing our walk through Ashland Day, we are currently in the aisle that has various business vendors that set their tents up to let people know they do business here in Ashland, trying to hand out information and a lot of freebies on this aisle. We were over in the community aisle where there's all kinds of school groups as well as the committees that do different work here in Ashland. There is the dog park, there's the open space, there's the town forest, all kinds of different committees, and we're just showing you part of it, and hopefully you had the opportunity to come down to Ashland Day, take part, be proud, and participate in all the great things that are Ashland. If you'd like to see more of what happened on Ashland Day, make sure you check out our Ashland Day special, where we give you some interviews talking to various people around the town, people who were there, and of course some of the great groups and vendors that participated. Hopefully you got to participate and enjoy Ashland Day as well. One bit of news that you may want to see if you can do something about is this is possibly the last Ashland Day. The committee that has been working on it is getting a little bit older, so if you think Ashland Day is important, you can reach out to myself, Yolanda Greaves, or of course, Joe Magnani, who is one of the current Ashland Day committee members. From our Ashland Day, we're gonna head to the Kitty Fenwell Car Show. This is a car show where they raise money for Relay for Life. The Ashland Lions are there feeding everybody from 8 o'clock in the morning until when the show ends, so you can show up early to see the cars and have breakfast, or stay later and have lunch. And of course, all the proceeds from this car show go to the Relay for Life. And you can go in and look at the cars for free, and it's the people who bring the cars that are paying a submission fee to be able to be there and get judged. So hopefully you enjoy our footage of the car show.
Hi, I'm Michelle, and we're here at Kitty Fenwell for their annual car show. This car show every year raises money for the Relay for Life. Looks like there's a lot of cars showing up here today. Let's go check a few of them out. I'm here with Peter Comedian. So how do you think this is going to go today? It looks like there's a lot of cars already.
Yeah, we're doing really great. It's 9. We opened up at 9, or supposedly opened up at 9, and we probably got already about I've got to feel probably about 100 cars. So I'm really happy from that standpoint. A little nervous about the weather because this morning it rained a little, but it seems to be clearing up. So I think we're going to have a good turnout. Hope we're going to have close to 200 cars.
Yeah. So this has been going on for a few years now. How long has it been?
Right. This is our 5th year. We seem to grow every year. And like I said, I'm expecting hopefully, up to 200 cars this year. And yeah, a great turnout. Everybody seems to have a lot of fun.
Yeah, definitely. So this is all for the Relay for Life, correct? Why is that? Why'd you pick the Relay for Life?
Okay. Actually, Kitty Fenwell has a Relay for Life team, which is all about raising money for American Cancer Society. And we run a couple of different fundraisers throughout the year. Matter of fact, we just got done with our golf tournament, where we raised, I think we're going to be about $25,000 that we raised at the golf tournament, yeah. And in fact, not to brag, but our company's Relay for Life team has been the #1 team in raising money in all of New England. This will be the 3rd year in a row.
Wow. Well, that's really great.
Yeah, it is. I'm really proud. We got a lot of people that help inside the company. You think we're a big company. We're not. We're probably about 300-400 people at most, and it's people donating money from inside the company.
Well, it looks like a great turnout. Hopefully the weather, it looks like there's blue sky, so.
I hope it opens up a little, yeah, because it scares the people away, we know.
Yeah.
Like your dad would know, right? And where is your dad's car? I don't see it here.
It's not here yet.
Oh, okay. But yeah, I want to just thank Ed, because Ed helps out a lot from Rose's Automotive. Him and I have been doing this for the last 5 years, so yeah, I couldn't do it without him.
Well, it looks like it should be a great day. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you to Michelle and Allison Rose for going and getting us that footage of the car show. They've been doing a lot of great work. Hopefully you even caught them live at the Corner Spot earlier this week with Exhibit A Brewing Company. We're going to continue our Around the Town tour. We're going to head over to the Historical Society and the Dragonfly Festival. The Dragonfly Festival was originally scheduled for August 12th. It was one of those crazy, rainy, horrible Saturdays, and unfortunately they originally canceled, and then they were able to reschedule it, and all the musicians that were originally going to be performing were able to participate. It was a much nicer day, a little bit chilly now that we're into fall, but let's go catch some of the music. Thank you to Connor Donovan and Jack Emberley for getting us that footage of the Dragonfly Festival. Maybe you were there in time to catch our town manager as he special guest performed with the Dale Show. Always a great time. Again, the music and food is always fun at the Dragonfly Festival, and hopefully you had the opportunity to enjoy it yourself. We're making one last stop on our Around the Town tour, the Metro West Conference for Women. This was held on Thursday, September 20th. Over 600 women from the Metro West region got together to hear some great speakers and just be motivated to offer each other support and energize each other and just keep that conversation going for what women can be doing. Knowing that we're over 50% of the population, we have some pictures and some video to share with you, so let's take a look.
To the Metro West Conference for Women! Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to what we hope is going to be a day of non-stop inspiration. And we are thrilled that you are here to learn and to grow, to be inspired, to create connections like you're doing right now, and to build a network of support. This is your time, and we hope that you will take full advantage of this incredible experience.
Good morning. Thank you, Candy. Thank you for your wonderful introduction. It's great to be here with the other Karen in leadership in our Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Karen's still been doing an awesome job, and you're 2 months and getting ready for a great term.
So at the Women's Conference, we had Darieth Chisholm as our first keynote speaker, and there was also Adrian Haslett, who was the keynote speaker at lunch. Candy O'Terry was the MC for the day, and this was all led by Jen Maceda. We've had Jen on our show before. It's a wonderful conference. If you're interested in attending and participating next year, make sure you get on the newsletter email list, and you can go to Metro West Conference for Women, their website, check it out, and see some of the pictures from this year, and hopefully you'll be able to participate next year. A big shout out to all the Ashland women who shared their pictures and shared their comments and shared their fun at the Metro West Conference for Women. Well, that wraps up this round of Around the Town. Hopefully you've enjoyed our stops, and if ever you have something you'd like to share with us, make sure you reach out to us here at WACA and Around the Clock. Well, that wraps up this episode of Around the Clock. Thank you so much for watching. A big thank you to Jack Patrick Lewis for coming on the show and sharing some of the things in his life. We did have a full, longer interview that you can watch the whole thing on our website or through our Facebook page, Around the Clock. We hope you enjoyed our Around the Town tours. As always, if you ever have an event that you'd like us to share or be a part of, make sure you reach out to us here at the WACA studios or via the Around the Clock Facebook page. Stay warm and happy fall.